Hello friends, this is Venkat Iyer. I'm a certified trainer in neuro-linguistic programming. I'm going to be talking about this coaching which I conduct regularly, and I'll like to throw some light on how this is going to benefit you. To begin with, let's define what is NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. That's right. Neuro, which is brain patterns, linguistic, which is language patterns, and programming is the process of bringing these two together to make sense, to make results happen. So here we are dealing with you, the person, who is a combination of internal processes, which is psychology, and external processes, which is a part of your physiology. Let's try to understand it better. We have the 5 sensory organs: the eyes, the ears, the skin, the nose, and the mouth. These 5 sensory organs are the input channels through which we perceive the world around us. And whatever we perceive of the world around us, this goes into our system, into our brain, and it forms what is called as an imprint. It forms an imprint. This imprint, we give it a languaging. Each of us gives our own languaging, and we create what is called as a mental map. So there is a reality outside, and that reality is taken into our system by our 5 sensory organs, and that creates an imprint in the brain. And this imprint, we give it a meaning, languaging, which is our mental map. For example, there may be a rose in front of me, a red rose. That's a reality outside. That red rose, my eyes are perceiving, it goes into my brain and forms an imprint of a red rose, just like a snapshot. But my brain will give it a languaging, a meaningfulness. It will create what is called as a mental map. So whenever I see a rose, that mental map triggers off as a memory. So for all the 5 sensory organs, this is a thing that happens to us within our brain. Right? So there is a mental map from where we start. Now this mental map is individual languaging of each of us. So given a reality, each of us will interpret the reality our way and create a mental map in our brain, our own languaging. Now this languaging which we are creating is a meaningfulness we give to the reality outside. So we say the map or the mental map is not the reality which is outside. We say that the mental map is not the reality which is outside. This mental map and the reality outside, there is always a disconnect. There is always a dilution in the mental map. So in NLP, we are exploring how we create our individual mental maps to begin with. And to understand that, we first go through how the 5 sensory organs are functioning. Are they sharp enough? Are they taking in information as much as possible? Are they storing information properly? And is this information coming out in the form of a total recall? That's the ideal condition. But what really happens is, information goes in, it might go partially. And within the brain, there are what are called as mental filters. Mental filters. So these mental filters, they start filtering or diluting the information that goes in. There are three filters which we talk about in NLP. generalization, distortion and delusion. So when we see a reality outside, from outside, it becomes a mental imprint, and that we create into a mental map, we language it. In this process, there is a dilution. And that dilution is because of the three filters: generalization, distortion and delusion. Obviously, these three filters, they dilute my inner understanding about the external world. It suits me, and so I run the world with this type of a background. So far so good, nothing wrong about it. But what really happens is we become victims of this mental map, and we start believing that that is the only reality. And as we progress in life, we come across situations where we are interacting with others. We come across situations where we need to change ourselves into thinking differently. And these are the times when we go through challenges. We find it very difficult, almost impossible to accept another point of view of the same reality. You will all agree that this limits our existence. This creates relationships, issues of conflicts, misunderstandings, etc. This also makes us feel inadequate. Somewhere as life progresses, as it becomes more and more complex, we find that these mental maps which we create, they start getting hardened. They start becoming more and more of a reality for us. Almost to the point of believing that this is the reality, not the reality outside. This needs correction for us to live a fully resourceful life. So NLP probes into these mental maps by using hypnosis, by making you go through certain internal processes, and at the same time it addresses the words and the language and the body posture that you adopt. Yes, the words, the language and the body posture that you adopt. Every word that I say, the type of body posture which I adopt, and the expressions that I use, they impact my brain. We've all heard this from many communicating trainers and people around that use positive words. What is essentially the implication in that from the brain point of view is, when I say a supportive word or a positive word, it reinforces the brain to act in that direction. That's a reality. So whatever words and expressions and postures we take, they actually create an internal reality, a psychology, they impact. The brain is a organ that simply listens to your talk and obeys it. So if you say to yourself in the form of a self-talk that I'm good, the brain starts working in the direction. So on one hand, I said that we talk about the mental maps on which we work on, and thereby we try to bring about recovery of lost information. Which information is lost? About the reality outside. We have lost information because of the mental filters. Let's say that 80% of reality is taken by me inside. Through these filters, let us assume 30% is diluted. So what comes out is only 50%. So 30 is lost. How nice it would be if I could get in touch with the 30 that is lost and recover it. So that's an important part of the NLP training. Next, we dwell upon the language patterns. What sort of words am I using? What sort of postures am I adopting? Now all this is coming because of my habitual practice for so many years. I have already been programmed. Yes, I have already been programmed by many things in the past, and also it's happening in the present. Some of the programs are highly supportive. They are taking me towards joy, resourcefulness, and achievement of my goals. But there are certain other programs which are actually impeding or stopping my progress and making me unhappy and unresourceful. So on two ends we are working in the practice of NLP, at the brain pattern end and the languaging end. And these two are brought together and integrated. It's a multidisciplinary science, a multidisciplinary approach, and it's done very systematically, carefully, through well-defined processes, understanding human psychology, understanding human behavior, understanding communication, which is at different levels. And through all these inputs which are integrated, the coaching comes to you. It's a 6-day coaching which runs for 3 months, 2 days per month. And in the interim period between 2 months, we have practice sessions which you have to go through. So this is one program where we have coaching happening in the classroom or the training room. At the same time, you'll be testing the coaching in practice outside when you go back to your workplace, to your home, to the society, in the interim period between the two dates. So I'm inviting you to go through a journey of self-discovery, exploration, and making yourself a regenerated, resourceful human being. Welcome to NLP. Wish you all the best.